I like it because it's a better guitar chair than this one is because of the no arms.
Yeah.
And also, when I sat in it, I thought it was more comfortable than the green chair because the green chair you just kind of like sink into a little bit. And so, I don't know. I thought it was okay.
It's fine. Have you done anything or seen anything interesting lately? Have you had time with your move and all your other stuff that you're doing?
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, so I did start watching The Goldbergs because...
Is it good? It looks so dumb.
Okay. I can't say it's not dumb. I already am.
Oh. I'm not. There I am.
I do think it's a little bit dumb. But it's a dumb that I like. Like it's... I don't even think I'm going to need these because I'm just watching the levels anyway.
Okay. And you just talk loud. Enough.
Loud enough. Yeah, well, mostly because I'm watching the levels. It makes me raise my voice a little bit. But anyhow, it harkens back to more of a Wonder Years kind of thing.
Okay.
But Wonder Years... Wonder Years when the
Fred
family
Savage
is
in a very waspy family,
right? But this is a very Jewish family and very neurotic.
Okay,
So it's
I get
like
that from the mom character.
Uber dysfunctional. It's the Jeff Garlin character is fantastic. He's just this. He's the guy who walks in the door after work and immediately drops his pants.
Oh,
and,
I mean, that's what everybody does. That's real.
It's almost as though you were to put... Yeah, this is true. It's almost as though you were to smush together Married with Children and The Wonder Years.
Oh,
and
okay.
have it be...
Something in the middle.
Yeah, and again, but I haven't seen that many shows, I don't think, which is interesting considering the number of Jewish television writers out there and Jewish, specifically comedic television writers, that there aren't that many sitcoms that focus on
the family.
Yeah,
maybe,
I mean, and even when
not.
I was growing up, there was this one show called Brooklyn Bridge. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely.
It ended up replaying on Bravo later after it was done.
Yeah.
But it was more of a serious kind of show. But it centered around a Jewish family in Brooklyn, and this is a
some background music,
a little bit
from the neighbors,
and it's not going to pick up on mic, but
we're in a new venue. Should we mention that?
Yeah, sure, we can mention that in case there's not crossover for any of the other shows because I mentioned it. I mentioned it on Limited Engagement because that was.
Week in my journalism classes, I've been talking with my students about podcasts and audio production. And on Monday, I was like, you know what we do? We do this thing called room tone. And they were like, tell us about this room tone. I was like, you just stand there with your microphone and your recording device for like 20 seconds. And they're like, that's it? I'm like, yeah. Do you know why you would do room tone? Well, in case you need to edit it and you need that track underneath, like
sure,
a little comfortable mattress underneath.
Yeah,
that holds everything together.
Thinking of getting some foam and tacking some stuff up.
Yeah,
these mics are pretty good about really only getting voices. Yeah,
are they even unidirectional?
Like even
omnidirectional.
Well, like when Susa will be talkative, she barely gets picked up on the mic.
That's good.
Yeah, it's got a very narrow focus.
That's the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
You call that
I just see we're getting into technical stuff, and like
stuff.
Everything else, I've learned how to do this shit on the fly.
Yeah, as most people do.
Yeah. No, there's a friend of mine who actually went to recording school and like got a degree in sound engineering, which he doesn't use.
See, I almost wanted that degree, but I knew I wouldn't use it.
Yeah, I would want to use it if I got that. I think that I can actually go ahead and shut this down.
I'm going to get me a little Zoom so I can do more audio stuff because I miss it. Did you get a different computer too?
No, same one.
Oh,
It just
okay.
looks much larger on a smaller desk.
It's visual effect, like a special effect.
Just like anything else. You make the other surface smaller, the smaller thing looks bigger.
Also, I'm used to sitting maybe on the side of it and not facing
That's
it.
true. Yeah, I don't often have it turned around, but again, because this is currently until I get a new TV, what I'm watching things on. Which is fine because the screen is fairly large.
Wait, so you just sit here huddled in your tiny studio watching TV?
No.
Okay.
That's not.
You
no.
just said you were using this as your TV, though.
Right, because I can have it on here and then like be around doing unpacking stuff, or I was building this bookcase behind you over the weekend.
You're not just captive in that little space?
No.
Okay.
No. And that's the other thing about this show is that it's one that you can not have to pay a super large amount of attention to. It's pretty, I like the writing of it. I think it's funny, but it's also not like you're going to miss a lot of nuance if you're not paying super close attention to it. And it's fun for all the 80s references because it takes place in the 80s.
So, okay, kind of like that 70s show, but maybe totally different cast and premise.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's closer. It maybe in the spirit of keeping to a certain time period, but I think it's closer to that sort of family dynamic show,
right?
Like A Married with Children or Wonder Years or I don't know what else is like that, an All in the Family kind of thing.
Oh man, I hated that show.
Really?
I really didn't like it. But
I never got into it.
Yeah, it's too old for me. Maybe if I was of a different generation. This blew my mind today in a meeting. My colleagues were talking about how our students, I teach at a college and a lot of my students are in their 20s. We're not even talking about millennials anymore. Mm-hmm. Like there's another new younger generation and they're called Gen Z.
Already?
Yeah. And they identify them as, people that are born around 1996. No, 2006.
I guess that makes sense because a decade, a generation, they usually estimated about being about
10 years.
Well,
give or take 5.
Almost 20 years, right? Because I think
baby
that
boomers had quite a long span.
Well, they start millennials at depending on what source you're looking at, like 1983, 84.
Okay.
And that starts millennials.
You?
So no, I'm 82. So I'm at like the cutoff just at the end of what came before millennials. Is it Gen X?
I don't think of myself as Gen X. I don't identify.
Well, Gen X has basically 63 or 64 to 83, 84. So right around there, where Gen X cuts off, millennials begin. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's about 20 years.
And then
baby
millennials
boomers
begin, and that's another 20.
Baby boomers come, they're World War II, so that's like beginning of the 40s, late 30s, and then 60s. Up into the Gen X, which starts 63, 64. So yeah.
It just makes me feel old because I'm like, really another new generation that's younger than me and mine?
I'm not too worried about it. So let me tell you, this is not strictly pop culture, but should we introduce the show so I have a cutoff point? This is Hoot and Review. Oh, that's for you.
Little button that says Hoot and Review.
And yeah, the button says Hoot and Review. The show is Hoot and Review. I'm Jared.
I'm Jenna.
And there's the show. And
what really matters is what you like, not what you are like. Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.
Talk about pop culture and shit.
We do talk about pop culture and shit.
A few weeks ago, I was going to the movies a lot, and then I just haven't been going because I've been traveling.
Yeah.
But I've done some cultural things. I was in Bisbee. Mm-hmm. And incidentally, they were doing the Alice in Bisbeeland Festival, which was trippy.
I don't know what that is.
It's Bisbee is full of eccentric people, right?
Sure, yeah.
A bunch of fun freaks and, I don't know, people that are like living on the edge of society. It was great. There were bikers in town, and a lot of the venues on Saturday night just had live music. Have you heard of the band Larkspur?
No.
It turns out I know their violin player. Her name is Alexis.
Okay.
Anyway, I didn't know this was her band. I guess I knew that she did play music because she was volunteering with Rock Camp for Girls when they first got off the ground.
Oh,
so was
sure.
We just happened upon this bar called The Quarry in Bisbee, and her band was playing, and it was really cool. But before that, we had wandered into some other bar, and there was like an aggressive cover band that was doing a lot of like HnR and Def Leppard.
Okay.
And I don't know where I'm going with this story. Just Bisbee has a lot of local flavor. Oh, okay. Alice in Bisbeeland, their festival that they do every year. People dress up like Alice, obviously. But then, like, you know, the Johnny Depp version of the Mad Hatter was running around, and people were dressed up like playing cards. And
Sure.
there were more than one Mad Hatter. There were more than one Alice. There was more than one White Rabbit
Well,
that I
there
saw.
are only so many characters
Right.
in the book. Yeah.
And the tradition is that at the Alice in Bisbeeland festival, they behead the Red Queen at 10 o'clock, but we missed that. So we really just saw the outside stage performances. We did get to watch burlesque. I feel like I saw all the local girls in town take their clothes off, which was entertaining. Although it was odd because kids were out for that. And I mean,
That is interesting.
one girl walked on broken glass, and then another girl just had like the little electrical X tape over her nipples. And anyway, you know, that's fine. I'm not a parent. I don't tell people how to raise their kids. It's Bisbee.
The only burlesque I've ever seen is I have gone to the Talk Nerdy to Me show at Comic-Con.
How is that? 'Cause I've
It's
never
interesting.
gone. Yeah. Is it in the middle of the day? Because that seems wrong.
It's at night.
Okay.
It's at night.
Burlesque should happen at night.
Yeah.
There's some good acts around town. I'll do some research.
Okay. Yeah.
We used to have Scandalesque, but then Pyra Sutra moved to LA. Actually, I've seen her name pop up. Maybe she's moved back. I don't know. And there's somebody in town who does a school for burlesque.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of it.
I've known. some
I've
people
heard
that took
about it.
classes.
I don't know. I don't recall the name, but I think I've heard about it.
This warrants some research.
Does it?
I think so.
Okay.
So aside from that, I haven't watched many movies or Netflix as much, although last week I did a little. But we were in the car for hours and I listened to a shitload of Pandora.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And my new favorite band lately, and I might have mentioned this last time we got together, is Deep Dark Robot.
I don't think
Linda
they
Perry's new
mentioned that.
project. I haven't. Love this band. They have an album out. It's called 8 Songs About a Girl.
Okay.
8 songs. It's not a very long album, but everything on it is really good. The accompanying videos are good, well produced, a lot of black and white. There's a lot of sadness and grief and anger going on in these songs, so it's kind of a perfect breakup album. I should send you a copy. Anyway.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I haven't been listening to a lot of breakup music lately.
Well, that's probably healthy. You know, you don't want to just wallow in it.
No, I guess not. I have some of it was starting to just hit a little too close to home, so I've had like random. I have this massive Spotify playlist that's not at all really curated that I just throw stuff in. That's anytime something pops into my head that I've just called the Great Fucking Songs.
How many songs are on it?
There's a couple hundred on there,
Wow.
I think, so far. Yeah.
Keep you busy for a few hours.
Exactly. So I just put that on random and let that go. And I've been listening to podcasts. I just finished listening to the latest Mark Maron, which was kind of hard to listen to, not because it was bad, but because it hit a little close to home. He was talking to Brene Brown about, and I had not really I've heard her name before, but I've not really paid much attention to her work or what she does.
Okay.
And apparently she came to Mark Maron's attention through a TED Talk that she was doing about shame.
Whoa.
And they were talking about this shame in relation specifically to addictive behavior and like eating disorders and various, basically coping mechanisms for that have shame as the root kind of cause for it. And that kind of, I was like, whoa, that's.
What are you dealing with?
Well, I've been dealing with stuff apparently my whole life. So
Shame, particularly?
Well, probably. I think that's mixed into all sorts of things. So, I'm not going to delve into it terribly deeply, but my therapist has said that